Right before our wedding ceremony, I found out my fiancée was still texting her ex. Everyone was waiting outside. I had to choose between silence or truth. I was buttoning my shirt when the phone buzzed. Emma's phone. She must have left it behind when she came by earlier, still in her robe, hair half curled, laughing about how I always forget cufflinks. She kissed my cheek, dropped off a handwritten note I haven't even opened yet, and floated out the door like the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. The phone lit up again. I wasn't trying to look, I swear, but the screen faced up on the dresser and my eyes just caught it, like instinct. Adam. My stomach sank. I knew the name. Everyone did. The ex, the guy from way back when, before me, before us. I froze. The message preview read, "I miss you. Can't stop thinking about that night." My brain stalled, like someone had unplugged me mid-thought. It wasn't just the words, it was the timing. Today, my wedding day. I picked up the phone, hands already shaking. One more came in as I stared. "Are you sure you're doing the right thing?" Then I unlocked it. I didn't think, I just did it. The message thread opened like a trap door under my feet. "Adam, last Saturday felt real, like before. You didn't say goodbye. I don't care that you're marrying him. I know you still feel it." And then her replies, Emma's replies. "Please don't do this today. I'm trying to stay focused. It's all too much. Don't make this harder than it already is." I couldn't breathe. People talk about heartbreak like it's slow, like some poetic unraveling. But this was immediate, brutal, like someone had reached into my chest and just pulled. No warning, no buildup, just the truth. I sat down on the edge of the bed, still holding her phone, feeling like I'd stepped into a nightmare that wore my name. I scrolled. There were messages from weeks ago, a blurry photo, Emma and Adam in what looked like a bar, maybe a hotel lounge, her hand on his arm. Nothing scandalous, but it was the context, the words, the way she said, "This can't happen again. I love him, I'm getting married." Then 2 days later, "I haven't stopped thinking about it either." And just like that, 5 years cracked apart. Emma and I met at a tech PR mixer in San Francisco. I was the guy in the corner with a beer, making awkward conversation about APIs. She was surrounded by people, telling a story about losing her phone in an Uber and charming the driver into bringing it back the next day. She was sunshine with a little chaos, and somehow she walked straight over to me, smiled, and asked if I wanted to ditch the event and grab tacos. We were inseparable from that night. Emma wasn't perfect, but she was real. She laughed with her whole face. She cried during animated movies. She made career moves with guts and heart. I trusted her with everything. My flaws, my hopes, my fear of turning out like my father. She was the only person who'd ever seen all of me and stayed. Until now. Chris knocked on the door. "Yo, man, 20 minutes? Need help with the tie?" I didn't answer. I was still staring at the screen, rereading a message that burned like acid. Part of me wishes it was you standing at that altar. Adam again. It wasn't just that they'd talked. It was how, the intimacy, the tone, the past tense that still lingered in the present, and the fact that she never told me, never mentioned he'd reached out, never confessed to seeing him last weekend. While I was going over table arrangements and writing my vows, she was meeting her ex. Suddenly everything felt fake. The cake tasting, the engagement photos in Golden Gate Park, the nights we stayed up picking out songs for the first dance. All of it. My chest hurt. My hands were numb. I wanted to throw the phone, scream, cry. But mostly, I wanted to not know what I now knew. I kept thinking, there has to be some explanation. Maybe she told him off. Maybe she just froze and didn't want to upset me. Maybe I'm overreacting. But I wasn't. I knew what I saw, and more importantly, I knew what I felt. That trust, our trust, was gone. And the worst part? I still loved her. Every damn part of me still wanted to walk out there, smile like nothing happened, say "I do," and pretend this was just a bad dream. But I couldn't. The man I am, the man she promised to marry, believes in honesty, in loyalty, in love that doesn't need to hide in locked phones. And now I had a decision to make. Go through with a wedding I no longer believed in, or stand up for myself, for the truth, and walk away from the woman I thought I'd spend my life with. I kept staring at myself in the mirror like it would give me an answer. The tux fit perfectly. My hair had never looked this clean cut. On the outside, I looked like someone who was about to have the best day of his life. But inside, everything was wreckage. Twisted metal, smoke, silence before a scream. The phone was still in my hand. Emma's screen had gone dark, but the damage was done. And now all I could think was, how the hell did I not see this coming? 5 years, not a single red flag. Or maybe there were, and I just ignored them. Maybe that time she pulled away when I asked about her past with Adam wasn't just discomfort. Maybe the long hours, the last-minute client dinners, the way she sometimes seemed far away even when we were in the same room. Maybe those were signs I didn't want to read. Was I too trusting, too blind? Did I not love her the right way? Did I push her toward him without even knowing it? It was dizzying, the way guilt wrapped itself around grief like vines around a dying tree. But one truth stood taller than the rest. This wasn't my fault. She had a choice. She chose to lie. I didn't know how long I sat there, just breathing, just trying to hold the pieces of myself together. Guests were arriving. I heard laughter from the hallway, my mother's voice, the sound of someone tuning a guitar, a flower girl giggling. Time was still moving forward, like nothing had happened, but everything had changed. I couldn't pretend. I couldn't fake a smile, walk out there, and say vows to someone who was still emotionally entangled with another man, someone who might have kissed him just days ago while we were finalizing the seating chart. I had to talk to her. Emma's suite was on the other side of the resort. I walked with my heart in my throat. Every step felt surreal, like I was moving through a version of my life I didn't recognize. When I knocked on her door, I expected hesitation, but she opened it almost immediately, beaming. She looked breathtaking, her makeup perfect, her hair pinned with delicate white flowers, her dress hugging her body like it was made for her. For a second, my heart forgot everything. I wanted to grab her and run back to 5 days ago, when I still believed we were unbreakable. "Hey," she said, glowing, "are you really coming to see me before the ceremony? You're not supposed to see the bride, you know?" Her voice was playful, light, like nothing was wrong. I didn't say anything. I just held up her phone. Her smile died in an instant. I saw the blood drain from her face. "Liam," she started, her voice already trembling. I didn't say a word. Her eyes darted to the screen. "It's not what you think." My laugh was short and dry. "Really? Then help me out. What is it?" She stepped back, suddenly looking small, like someone who had been caught in a lie she hadn't prepared for. "It was a mistake," she whispered. "It happened once, a while ago. I didn't want to hurt you. I didn't even want to talk to him. He reached out. I didn't know how to deal with it." I stared at her. "Emma, the messages are from this week." She blinked. I could see the panic in her eyes. I didn't mean for it to go that far. I swear. I was overwhelmed. With the wedding, with everything. It confused me. "Confused you," I repeated. "So you met with your ex, days before our wedding, and you're still texting him today? Because you were confused. It didn't mean anything, but you told him you missed him." She didn't respond. "You told him you weren't sure about this marriage." Silence. "You told him you wished it was him standing at the altar?" Tears welled up in her eyes. "I was scared, Liam, okay? I freaked out. I didn't mean it. I love you. I want this. I want us." I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted that more than anything. I wanted to take it all and stuff it into a drawer and lock it away. But I couldn't unknow the truth. I couldn't unsee the words, or how easily they'd rolled out of her. And the worst part, she didn't deny them. I looked at her, really looked, and for the first time, I saw someone I didn't recognize. This was the woman I'd planned a life with, the person I trusted more than anyone. And now, standing in front of me in a wedding dress, she felt like a stranger. Or maybe she always had been, and I was just too in love to see it. "You lied to me," I said quietly. "Liam, you stood there, choosing flowers with me, reading our vows out loud, laughing with my mom, and all the while, you were still holding on to someone else. I made a mistake." "No," I said. "You made choices, over and over again." The room was silent except for her quiet sobs. And me? I wasn't even angry anymore. I was empty. Like someone had scraped out everything inside me and left just enough space for the echo of the moment. I turned away, took a step toward the door. "What are you going to do?" she asked, voice shaking. That question hit me like a punch. because I didn't know. Was I really about to walk out there and smile for the cameras? Pretend everything was perfect for the sake of the guests, the family, the photos? Or was I going to blow it all up? Tell the truth? Stop pretending? I felt like I was at the edge of a cliff, and no matter which way I jumped, I'd lose something. My voice was barely above a whisper when I said it. I honestly don't know. My legs felt like they didn't belong to me as I walked toward the ceremony site. I could hear the soft strings of the quartet playing our chosen song, Can't Help Falling in Love. A beautiful irony. The sun was golden, dipping just low enough to warm everything in that soft, storybook light. People turned in their seats smiling. Cameras rose. My mother waved, dabbing tears from her eyes. I was walking toward the rest of my life, and I had no idea what I was going to do when I got there. Emma stood beside me, her hand lightly brushing mine, as we took our places in front of the officiant. She wasn't smiling now. Her face was pale, her eyes red-rimmed but composed, like someone clinging to a dream they know is slipping away. I tried to look anywhere but at her. The officiant began with a gentle voice, welcoming everyone, saying kind words about love, about commitment, about the journey ahead. His words barely reached me. All I could hear was my own heartbeat. Boom, boom, boom. And beneath it, the echo of Adam's message. Are you really going through with this? I wasn't sure anymore, but I was here. Then came the question. That one question. The one I used to rehearse in my head, thinking it would be the easiest yes I'd ever say. Do you, Liam, take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife? Silence. The air held its breath. I stared at the officiant, then at Emma, and I felt everything all at once. Grief, love, betrayal, shame, confusion. Seconds passed. Too many seconds. People began to shift in their seats. Emma's fingers curled slightly, reaching for mine, almost pleading. I looked at her, and I saw not just the woman I loved, but the woman who knew she'd done something unforgivable and hoped I'd cover it up for her. My voice came out low, almost cracked. I'm sorry, I said. I can't. The silence shattered. At first, no one moved. It was like no one understood what I'd just said. The officiant blinked. My mom gasped. Emma stood frozen, lips parted, as if the world had stopped mid-frame. Then the whispers started. From the front row her father stood, confusion on his face. My best man Chris mouthed, "What the hell, man?" Someone at the back stood up in shock. A child started crying. Emma turned to me, eyes wide, desperate. "Liam, please, not here, not like this." I stepped back, breathing hard, my hands shaking. "I'm sorry," I said again, louder this time. "I can't marry you, Emma." "What are you doing?" she whispered, her voice breaking. "Why now?" "We can talk about this later, please. Just don't do this here." I looked around, at the people who flew in from different states, the money spent, the love that filled this space, and yet, I couldn't pretend. I couldn't lie. "I can't start a marriage based on something that's already broken," I said. She grabbed my arm, pleading through tears. "It didn't mean anything. I told you. It was a mistake. Please don't humiliate me like this." But it wasn't about humiliation. It wasn't about the guests or the ceremony or the pictures. It was about truth, about the fact that love, real love, can't live in secrets. "You had so many chances to be honest with me," I said quietly, just to her. "So many moments you could have told me the truth. I would have respected that. I would have listened. Maybe I would have forgiven you." Her tears spilled. "Liam." "But you didn't," I said. "You chose silence. You chose him. Even now, you're more afraid of being embarrassed than of losing me." I stepped back again, slowly, my heart crumbling in real time. I deserve someone who chooses me, not someone who's torn between me and a ghost from her past. People were standing now. The officiant didn't know what to do. Chris was by my side in seconds, whispering, "Bro, let's go. Just get out of here." Emma's mom was crying. Her dad looked stunned. My sister was holding my mother's hand. And me, I was standing at the altar of a life that no longer existed. But beneath all the chaos, beneath the shock and the devastation, there was peace. Not happiness, not pride, but a kind of clarity. The kind that comes only when you stop lying to yourself. I turned to Emma one last time. "I loved you more than anything. I meant every word I wrote in those vows, but I can't stand here and pretend this is still real." Then I walked away, Not because I wanted to, because I had to. In the days after I walked away from the altar, I barely spoke. There wasn't much to say. The world didn't collapse the way I imagined it might. It just carried on. People packed up their things. My mom canceled the caterer's remaining deliveries. The photographer silently deleted 100 untouched frames. Guests returned home with awkward hugs and well-meaning cliches like, everything happens for a reason. But me? I crawled into myself. I didn't eat much. I didn't go online. I turned off my phone for 3 days straight. It wasn't rage or regret. It was just emptiness. A hollow ringing that sat in my chest like a wound that wouldn't stop echoing. There were nights I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, asking myself the same questions over and over again. Was I too naive? Did I miss the signs? Was I not enough? But even as those thoughts clawed at me, something deeper whispered, "You did the right thing." Chris came by almost every day in the first few weeks. Sometimes he just sat with me in silence, cracking open a beer without asking, handing me one like it was medicine. Other times he'd force me outside, even if it was just to walk to the corner store. "You don't get a badge for being miserable, man," he said once. "You stood up for yourself. That's not weakness. That's strength most people don't even know they have." I didn't believe him at first, but hearing it over and over from him, from my sister, from a few close friends, slowly began to chip away at the guilt. Because there was guilt. Not about leaving Emma, never that, but guilt for not seeing who she really was, for trusting so blindly, for believing in a version of us that maybe only ever existed in my head. Emma reached out a few times. Not right away, but about a month later. First through a long email, then a text. Then one day she showed up at my apartment building, standing at the front entrance like a ghost from a different life. Her voice cracked when she said my name. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry," she whispered. "For everything, for hurting you, for lying. I don't expect you to forgive me. I needed you to know I live with it every day." And I believed her. She looked smaller, not physically, but in spirit, like the weight of her choices had settled on her shoulders and refused to move. I nodded. "I do forgive you, Emma," I said. "I mean that." She looked hopeful, too hopeful. "But that doesn't mean I can love you the way I used to," I added. "Forgiveness isn't the same as forgetting." She cried, and I let her. Then I walked back inside. The healing didn't come all at once. It never does. Some days, I'd feel okay, hopeful even. Other days, a song or a smell would hit me like a wave and leave me spiraling again. But little by little, I started to come back to myself. I went back to work, started running again, took a short solo trip to the mountains just to clear my head. There, in the cold, quiet stillness of pine trees and morning fog, I found something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. I stopped blaming myself. Stopped romanticizing a version of love that didn't include honesty. I learned that strength isn't about never breaking. It's about choosing to rebuild with what's left. Almost a year later, I wrote it all down and posted it anonymously on Reddit. I didn't expect much, maybe a few comments. But the response was overwhelming. Hundreds of people shared their own stories. Some had been in my shoes, some were in my shoes. Some just said, "Thank you, I needed this." And for the first time, I felt like maybe my pain had meant something. Maybe choosing myself wasn't just an act of survival. It was a kind of service. A reminder to others that walking away isn't failure, it's freedom. A few weeks after that post, Chris got married. It was a small ceremony in a garden just outside the city. Nothing grand, just people who mattered, saying real words to each other. I was his best man, and I stood up there smiling, proud, peaceful. When his fiancée walked down the aisle, I watched Chris's face light up, like he was seeing the sun for the first time. And for the first time in a long time, my chest didn't ache. Instead, I felt something else. Hope. Not for Emma, not for what we could have been, but for myself. For love that's real, for the quiet, beautiful possibility that somewhere out there, someone else is learning to heal too. And maybe one day, our paths will cross. Until then, I've got my own journey, and I'm finally okay with walking it alone. For now.